Interview. I'm Sophia Lucia Parola, your host today. It is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival from March 21st through March 24th, 2024. You can check out over 200 films coming from 14 different countries, all various topics, lots of different types of films this year, and it'll be in Asbury Park, New Jersey and Cranford, New Jersey. One of the films you can check out there is a homegrown short film called Discharge. Here to talk with me about the film is Ken Shores. He was writer, producer, and the star in Discharge. Ken, how are you?
Hi, Sophia.
Congratulations on making Discharge and getting accepted into Garden State Film Festival.
Thank you. I'm really happy about this one out of all the festivals because I had attended many previous Garden State Film Festivals, living in New Jersey, being from New Jersey, and then of course we made the film in New Jersey. So this is one I really had my eye on. If like I couldn't get in any festivals, if I could get in this one, that would be great. And so I'm so happy we made it.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing. And I'm also just as happy that we have a homegrown film. It's a great film, and that I get to talk to you today. So super exciting. Ken, can you start by just telling us who you are?
Well, like I said, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. I've been primarily an actor all of my life. I'm lucky to be a professional actor most of that time as well. But I've also worked behind the scenes. So I have an extensive background in writing and producing and also designing, mostly stage shows. I've worked in theater up until the pandemic, mostly full time, creating shows and working all different aspects of the shows other than just acting in them. So I had that background, and of course, when the pandemic hit, the theater industry, along with many others, shut down, and I was kind of like I said, used to creating full time, and all of a sudden everything stopped, and so I was looking for some outlet to do from my home, and so then I'd worked extensively in film as an actor, but not so much as a creative outlet for years because I'd been so consumed with theater. And so I said I really wanted to get back to that, my first love. And so I started working on, writing, and well, all we could do at that point was kind of write. So I was really thinking in terms of writing for film rather than theater at that point.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, I love hearing that people took such a scary and crazy time, that we were all so isolated and created amazing work from it. So I'm glad the lockdown had something beneficial for you.
Right.
And I think it's so cool. Yeah, I read in the bio that you actually joined this like artistic group coaching program where you had to create your own character or something like that. So right?
Yeah, it was one of the outlets, again, trying to make lemonade out of lemons is like,
Right.
all right. Everyone kind of isolated and stuck. And so I said, well, let me, at least if we can't be, together and participate in things live, I joined a coaching program for professional actors where, we weren't at the beginning of it, weren't necessarily thought we'd be in a lockdown for so many months. Mm-hmm. But it turned out to be kind of a blessing in disguise. It really gave us time to work on different things. And one of the things that came up was that, since the entire industry, film and TV, as well as theater, was shut down, well, no one's going to have any new footage at the end of this. So let's kind of come up with individualized footage for everyone so that you'll have something new once this ends, because most people won't. And so we really had to determine, which parts we would really be ideally cast in, and then kind of create different scenarios. And so I didn't plan on this film. It was a complete accident. It wasn't like, what was your inspiration for this film? It was all accidental.
Right.
It all started with this thinking of, okay, what is an ideal character for you to play? What would most people typically cast you in without really knowing you if they just see you? And so that's where the whole thing started. It was really just a creative exercise in exploring those things.
So interesting to hear how a film is born, and like you said, you didn't even know where it was going. So
yeah, like I said,
out of it. Yeah,
I was working on another film. I was trying to write something else where I kept coming at dead ends, and this was like an acting exercise. So I wasn't even thinking of it in terms of a film. So it was weird how it just kind of overtook the other project.
So tell us about Discharge. What is this film about?
It's about a detective, a police detective who had suffered trauma and never really dealt with it. And now, a couple of years into that, he thinks he's kind of been getting by, but his life is slowly crumbling around him, including his marriage, which is really catching him by surprise. He thought he was kind of handling everything. And so now he really needs to face the music and really confront this past tragedy and deal with it in order to really heal his present and be present for the present.
Right. And you wrote the script, you wrote this character that you play in the film. Have you ever played a character like this before?
Yeah, I've played kind of police officers, FBI detectives. I've played things like that. And that's, in this group that was determined. Everyone looked at me and said, oh, cop, right? And that was one of the first things they came up the role. So I said, yeah, well, let me kind of have a different twist on that and make it more empathetic and deal with like handling a youth. This was in the original scene concept that we were working on. Let's explore dealing with a younger person, because I've always had a good relationship working with kids. And so I said, well, this is something that could really kind of set him apart. And so that's where that started.
And as for like your character goes through a complex emotion, obviously is going through something really extremely traumatic. Have you ever had like that much? I mean, I know that when you play characters, we always give them depth, even if it's not on the script. Has a character that you played ever had all of these like complex emotions and things going down, and underneath?
I think in other areas, I don't think exactly this, but just similar things, but in different ways. Because all characters kind of different, and of course, in a lot of dramas, everyone is carrying baggage of one way or another, one sort or another, and so I have had to play characters who have had to deal with strong emotions and events that take place, but nothing like this. And again, when I was writing it, I was not thinking in terms of me. I mean, it was really, I had established this character, this outside person who was kind of very different from me. And it wasn't until I was finished writing that I realized, being isolated, dealing with all this tragedy around us during the pandemic, suffering with a lot of people were going through at that time. I didn't realize till I was able to have some time and look back and be like, oh, I see where I was pulling a lot of that from, but it was not intentional. I wasn't intentionally funneling things that I was feeling and going through into this. It was this character that things were just seeping into.
Right. And you have Ryan Metcalf, I think I'm saying his name correctly. He directed this, was also the DP on this. You have a wonderful cast, it's extremely strong. Talk to me about how you found and trusted Ryan to tell this story, and then getting the rest of the cast and crew.
Well, I had hired Ryan at the outset for this demo scene, for this one scene. And because he was one of the places in the area, and there were a couple that were suggested to me, but he just happened to be closest to where I was. So again, during the pandemic, that was going to be convenient. And so he had proper equipment and a good reputation. So I hired him to just produce this demo scene. And again, it was supposed to be a one-off, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't leave me. And I kept thinking about the character. I kept thinking about the circumstances. And also I had shown it to some people, and the response I was getting just to this isolated scene was phenomenal. And people kept reaching out to me, even literally weeks and months after they had seen it, and saying, you need to do something with this. You need to do something with this. And I wasn't thinking of it in terms of a whole story. I was like, what am I going to do with it? It's just an isolated scene. And then literally one morning as I was waking up, the whole arc just boom came to me at once. I said, oh, I know how this could be part of a larger story. So I worked on the script. And then again, I thought, this is still during the pandemic, so resources were challenging. And so I said, well, this one scene was professionally produced. This could be part of a larger film, but that's already done. The climactic scene we've already shot. That'll save some money, free up some resources to film the rest. So I wanted a consistency. So I called Ryan and said, "Hey, could you help me? Would you be interested? Since you filmed the original, we'll use the same cameras and everything, and just do it." It was a little outside of his norm of what his company was doing, but I said, "Can we just keep going with this?" And
Right.
do that, and so he said yes.
Wow.
So,
Wow. And the wonderful cast. I mean, the actress who plays your wife. You have it's a great ensemble. How did you find the cast?
I had casting calls.
Right.
I was used to that, directing a lot of theater. I was used to
Mhm.
casting my own projects and shows. And so I already had an account with Actors Access and Breakdown Services. So I simply, instead of theater, I put a breakdown for film roles. And, I preferred, at that point, I preferred going in to New York and really holding in-person casting. But no one could do that at that point. And, of course, we were in a change to self-tape that was going to become the norm. I had done a little of that prior, but so that's what I did. I just used Breakdown Services and Actors Access and looked for video submissions. And then, I was pretty specific with what I wanted. And then I really, I guess because people were looking for work during that point, I really had hundreds of people to choose from. And so I had callbacks and I gave all the actors the scene they were going to be doing and said, here's kind of the direction to go, and had them send tapes back to me. Some of them I gave adjustments to, had them redo. Others, I just said, well, that was it. That's what I'm looking for. And so I was really able to have the time to pick and choose who I wanted, and based on the scene they were going to be doing. So I could really tell if they were right, just not only with their acting, but kind of the vibe I was going for the characters that I had in my mind.
Yeah, great cast. Shout out to all of them. Ken, you, as we said, you were the writer on this, you produced this, you were a key cast member. And the film, it's a great film. There's so many wonderful elements to it. What do you think, what would you say are like one or two things that really helped you get to the finish line? What other filmmakers might listen and take with them to their projects, or you might take with you to your next project?
Well, the thing that jumps out at me is, and it's kind of cliched advice, is persistence to get anywhere. And I was laughing because this was just supposed to be a quick, short, little, simple pandemic project that I had, and ran into quite a bit of difficulties where it took a lot to, like, we ran into problems where the first day of shooting, there was this weather incident that kind of, we lost the day and didn't know if we were going to get it back again, and get everyone together who was going to be involved with that. And it actually happened months later. And there were a lot of things like that where we're just getting delayed after months. And working and producing theater where everything has to be like a set deadline, and there's no room for error and no room for waiting. I really was kind of used to that tenacity. And so I just kind of kept on it, even though it took a couple of years. And, I wasn't letting go until I got the film I wanted in my hands.
I love that. Absolutely. Because in film, and you're doing it during COVID, so many unforeseen challenges that you will not predict. So I love that you guys got to that finish line, made an amazing film. My last question for you, Ken, is how does it feel to be at Garden State Film Festival? I know it's a homegrown film. Like you said, you're a Jersey filmmaker, Jersey artist. How's it feel to be in this 22nd annual lineup?
It feels great. And I'm really happy they gave us the venue of the Cranford Theater, because there's not too many. That's a dying breed of a neighborhood cinema, right in the center of town, right on the sidewalk with the neon marquee. I love those, and it's a shame they're disappearing. And so I'm really happy that we're going to be able to show there on a big screen and really support that venue as well as being supported. I also I'm really happy because I have ties to that location. Right around the corner, there used to be a theater company where, when I was a kid, that's where I got my start professionally as an actor. So it's kind of a full circle moment.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful and so meaningful. And I couldn't agree more. I think obviously the arts and places to express your art are so important, and it's horrible that it's dying. We need more help. We need more funding. Garden State Film Festival itself needs more funding. So it's just great that we have amazing artists like you who care so much about the art, and especially having it in places that are so meaningful. So Ken, congratulations again for making Discharge and getting accepted into the 22nd year of Garden State Film Festival. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I'm going to tell everyone how you can see his film. It will be screening Saturday, March 23rd, like he said, at Cranford Theater in Cranford, New Jersey. At 5:45 p.m. is when that film block starts. Get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. And Ken, I hope to see you there.
Yep. Thanks, Sophia.
My pleasure. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye.